It's our favorite time of the week again. Time for hashtag Rising Qs when we get to answer your questions. All right, Saagar, who's up first?
Okay, number one. Do you think Trump has opened the door to more non-politicians running for president? Or do you think he's been so unpopular, he may have made it difficult for future non-politicians to gain public trust?
I kind of like that contrarian take, but I don't think it's right, though. I think he has opened the door for more non-politicians to run, because basically you look at him and you're like, if that guy can do it.
But, at the same time, a lot of these billionaires, they suck. They're not actually all that compelling, and they're kind of boring people.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them could do it, but I think in general, it's vastly overstated, which is that you actually have to be somewhat political. You have to have universal name recognition. You have to also understand the media in the same way. If all of those things were to come into place, I think it's possible. I remember, what's his name? Bob Iger from Disney was thinking about running for president. I'm like, that guy's not going to be president. I was like, it's just not going to happen.
So I'm going to push back, even though, so this question is specifically about president. But number one, we saw in 2018, President Trump, for good or ill, has radically increased political interest.
Yes.
It's like the new culture, right? Everyone is following political news in a way that they weren't before. Mm-hmm. And you saw in 2018, especially among Democrats, a whole lot of first-time candidates. People who had never even worked on a campaign, were engaged and activated, ran for high office in certain instances, and in certain instances won. And the fact that you have that new bench of kind of outsider people, that trickles up to the presidential campaign. But you also saw Andrew Yang jump in the ring this time around. And I'm not sure you would have seen that before. So I think that he has expanded the horizons of who can see themselves as a presidential contender, and also who can be sort of taken seriously potentially as a president.
That's a good point. I meant non-politicians in terms of rich, famous people. But in terms of people who have been activated politically, you are 100% correct.
All right, next question. After the debate, conservative and GOPers have accused Chris Wallace of being unfair, quoted his registration as a Democrat as a reason why. What do you make of this, Saagar?
Well, I just don't see it. And we just talked to the Trump campaign earlier this week. They're saying the same thing. It's just not true. Chris Wallace interrupted Trump because Trump was interrupting Biden. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. There's no other way that you could have been able to handle this debate. And a lot of conservatives just love to play the victim. It's like victim, victim, victim. Okay, look, Trump effectively spoke over Chris Wallace. So what are you complaining about, right? If you're on the right, it should be baked in. The media are rabid dogs who will not treat you fairly. Fine, whatever. Use it to your advantage. More people hate you or hate them than they will ever hate you. So just use it to your advantage. I just think the complaining about it is just something that gets to me every single time, and it's just so annoying.
It's very whiny. Yeah. You think about, you've played here, that moment of Newt Gingrich, when John King was moderating the debate, and the opening question was about Gingrich asking his wife, now ex-wife,
for a divorce,
for an open marriage. That was the scandal of the week, and that was what they opened up with. And John King was like, "Do you care to respond?" And he was like, "No." And everyone went crazy. And that kind of opened up this very different way of approaching debates and going after the moderator. Look, I'm sure Donald Trump, I think Chris Wallace, personally, I think his questioning was more or less fair. But you're certainly going to get moderators who do not have much use for Donald Trump. He handled them perfectly fine in 2016.
Yes.
Wasn't a problem, went after them aggressively, had some of his best moments when moderators were trying to come after him. So don't blame them for a failed strategy from Donald Trump. Last cue.
Okay, given that the debate commission is making moves to rein in the debates, including cutting off mics, for instance, violating the debate rules, do you and Saagar believe that this will have any impact on future debates, or is it too little too late? We actually addressed this in the show earlier this week.
Yeah.
And we both exactly think the same thing. It's a bad precedent. It really is. And as annoying as it is, as awful as it is, if this is the two options that we have, we should know exactly who we're getting. And if America hates the debates that much, they can decide, and they can vote against Trump, or they can vote against Biden. But let us see it for what it is. I'm always more in favor of just letting it happen than anything else, because it's going to trickle down in the future of American debates. We're going to have cutoff mics and all these rules and all these other things. It always works in the establishment's favor, and that's something I'm never going to allow.
We've seen how unfair the moderators were, even with less power to leftist candidates. candidates in the Democratic primary. So to hand them more power, Donald Trump was extraordinarily annoying. The debate was awful to watch, but he made that choice. And he's, I think, going to pay a little bit of a price for it. He certainly had a huge missed opportunity against an opponent who's not particularly effective of a debater. He could have easily handled him if he had decided to be just less absolutely obnoxious the entire time. But that's what he wanted to put on display for the American people, so take it for what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
All right. Thank you for watching. We'll have more content for you later today.